Hello, third graders. Mrs. Campanella here. You're like, obviously. Anyway, I'm showing you the next step of our Positive Shapes project. Before we went in and we drew organic shapes and geometric shapes, kind of layering them over. Then we outlined them all in Sharpie. Now what I've been working on doing is filling in with washable markers. They do not have to be Crayola, but they do have to be washable or water soluble, because what we're going to do after we're done filling in with the marker is we're going to splash some water on there and it's going to reactivate those colors, and we're going to tip the page so that drips travel across the page, kind of like mixing these colors together. It's going to look really crazy and fun. So first of all, to get started, you have to choose 4 marker colors. I know sometimes it's difficult to limit yourself. You're like, oh, I love all the colors. I just want to use all of them. But it can do interesting things for an art project when you limit the colors. So please, for this one, I'm asking you to just choose 4 colors and kind of stick with them. Don't forget about black, brown, and gray. People always exclude those colors, but in this project, I feel like black, brown, and gray are particularly interesting. When you add water to those colors, you'll see that especially the black and the gray are made up of a lot of green. So they blend out to make some like pretty blue-green colors and things like that. They just do some super interesting things. So don't forget about black, brown, and gray. When you start coloring in your shapes, I obviously want you to color in neatly. If you're using markers that are not dried out, that still work well, there's no excuse to have any white space within a shape. So if you decide to color this shape in, color the whole shape in. Start with an outline. Let's make it look really nice and neat on the inside. Again, there's no excuse to have any white showing in there at all, okay? Now, just because I started coloring a shape with one color doesn't mean I have to stick with that same color the whole time. As you can see on my silhouette of the horse over here, well, hopefully you can see. Sometimes I'm outside of the picture frame and I don't know it. I was doing like kind of that blue-green and the gray and like a striping, and then I did the yellow and the fuchsia color on the inside. Over here in this flame shape, I did the same thing where I did more like patterns coloring in as opposed to one solid space. So I'm just going to pretty much continue this way, kind of coloring in. You do want to leave some white space on the paper. So I'm going to try to kind of leave it up to you guys as far as like when you're done. You do want to make sure you're coloring in quite a bit of the shapes on here so that you have a lot of color on the page. The more color you have on the page, the more color we have to work with when we do the marker painting. The more color we have to sort of blend and smear and gradate out and stuff like that. It's going to look really neat once we get to that phase of the project, okay? So remember to do some big shapes, some small shapes. So like here I have larger shapes. And then also to leave some white of the paper. Don't color in everything, okay? After you're done coloring with marker is when we're going to start the marker painting. I'm maybe going to pause the video for a sec, do a little bit more coloring, and then I'll tune back in with you when we do the marker painting, okay? Okay, I'm done adding the marker, and now I'm ready for marker painting. So how you do marker painting is you will need a paper towel, a water cup, and a brush, preferably a thick brush because it will hold a lot of water. So what I'm going to do is the paintbrush is not going to touch the page the entire time. I'm just going to use the paintbrush as like a sponge to hold water. And I'm just going to drop the water on the page. Now, obviously, you want to drop the water where there is color. You can already see the colors starting to pull out of this paw print here and over here where the water hit. I'm going to kind of slosh the water around just a little bit to pick up a little bit more color. And then I'm going to tip the page and you will see, oh, beautiful drips of color just kind of travel across. Now, at this stage, I'm not going to tell you how many drips you need to have or like what it needs to look like. You're going to kind of be the boss right now and you're going to say when it's done or not done. One thing that I would warn you of is not to overwork things on this project. See how cool it looks when I go back and forth? It's kind of just moving those colors. Looks super cool. I'm going to tip down this way because I don't have a lot of color going that direction. So see, I'm just kind of tipping and rotating that page to get more drops going different areas. And like I said, don't overwork it. If you think it looks cool, like if you get to a point where you're like, I think it looks fabulous, I want to be done, then be done. You don't have to like keep going until I say you need to stop. Anyway, so the result of this end of this project, it'll look different once the paper dries. You'll see things kind of look a little bit more crazy or a little bit lighter or whatever. They kind of change as you go. But anyway, when you're done, just let it dry, and then I'll be looking at your project on Google Meets for those of you that are fully remote. If you're in class, then I will look at yours obviously when we're in class. So instead of having you guys like send me a picture of the final product, I'm just going to have you hold it up during our Google Meets. If you want to send a picture or post a picture in the comments of like our stream, that would be awesome. I would love to see them, and I think the class would like to see them too. So anyway, so that's marker painting. You pretty much just color with marker, drop some water, and drip it all over the page, and things get kind of crazy and cool. So good luck, guys. Hope you enjoy this project.